Starting in prayer by Marie Ballantyne, this candidate's debate in Thompson, Manitoba was live-streamed in hopes of drawing more voters to the polls. The Churchill Keewatinook Aski riding spans 42,000 kilometers, and 60% of its residents are First Nations people.
Keewatinook Aski, northern land, that's what that means. Our people, we have a spiritual connection to the land.
That's Walter Wastesikut sharing a traditional teaching. He's the Grand Chief of the Keewatin Tribal Council.
In March of 2023, our 11 nations declared a regional state of emergency.
Of the 11 reserves in KTC, 7 are fly-in only. Wastesikut says they are in dire need of basic living needs, more housing, clean water, and affordable food, and that all are affected by an alcohol and drug abuse crisis. His counterpart, Grand Chief Garrison Settee of Manitoba Keewatinook Aski, adding this is a critical time for northern Manitoba.
Words. We need more than just rhetoric. We want to see action. We want to see transformation in our north, in the areas of health, child welfare, public safety, policing, and education. Those are very critical, and we need to see investments in the north.
The riding's been held by NDP Nikki Ashton since 2008. Amongst her victories, Ashton has helped in getting a health centre in Cross Lake, a hospital in Norway House, and has always backed the family of Jordan River Anderson, first to get Jordan's Principle started, and then just last year she helped draw attention to the backlog and the cutbacks to the program. An issue that was front and centre where both the NDP and Liberal candidates came to the table towing their party lines.
But I think we also need to be clear that it's the Liberals that have cut Jordan's Principle, right? So in the last budget, the Liberals tried cutting $7.6 billion from Indigenous services, and the biggest chunk was to Jordan's Principle.
Since 2016, over $8.1 billion has been invested through Jordan's Principle. So this has resulted in approvals of more than $7.8 million of products, services, and supports for First Nations.
The 2-hour debate was a back and forth between the two, with moderators and chiefs in attendance asking questions. The other two candidates in the riding, Lachlan Dinardi with the Conservatives and Dylan Young with the People's Party of Canada, sent their regrets. There were comments made during the forum from candidates, chiefs, and even on the live chat regarding the no-show, many saying they weren't surprised or even bothered that the two didn't attend, as the riding is generally a two-way race between the NDP and the Liberals. Another big issue that came up multiple times, getting an all-weather year-round road up the east side of Lake Winnipeg. Right now, the only road access for the 10,000 people in the area happens in the winter for 6 weeks of the year. Ashton said this jeopardizes lives during emergencies, using the example of having to rely on the armed forces to evacuate and fly out over 3,000 members from Bonabonabee Cree Nation in one day last summer because a wildfire got too close.
Things could have been much different if people had the opportunity to evacuate on their own, and we know that things can and should be much different for people living on the east side and in remote communities, including in the far north, Brochet, Lac Brochet to Dooley Lake.
Chartrand says the Liberals remain committed to infrastructure such as the all-weather road and putting more money into the Port of Churchill and the rail line that leads to it.
So we need to make sure we move forward, and you have to make sure you do that with a party that's actually going to be in government. The NDP will never be in government federally.
So the last election in 2021, Chartrand did not run. However, she ran in 2015 and came within 900 votes of beating Ashton. This time around, expert polls have this race pretty much tied, which has the candidates traveling all over the riding, hoping to draw in as many First Nations voters as they can. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.